A good Thursday afternoon, everyone. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights, VELCO Weather Hazards Forecaster. Looking at the country at large, we have some inbound storms, of course, ahead. This more main system for this period, for this outlook period, will develop on Friday evening. It'll linger through the day on Saturday, begin to wind on down Saturday afternoon into Saturday night. Last flakes probably not completely out of here until sometime along about Sunday morning. We're looking at better conditions just around the corner from that point, starting basically Sunday night into Monday with the next area of higher pressure. We do have a weather system currently in effect right now that is mostly moved off to our east. We're still going to see a little bit of this sort of a frontal boundary that's also going to introduce slightly colder temperatures. Not really that cold, however. We're going to see conditions support some snow showers and flurries. There's a little bit of a light wintry mix, but also to negate that, temperatures are warming up pretty quickly, and you can see some of these readings up around 39 degrees already at Burlington, and we're only just now turning toward noon here. Off to the west, this cutoff low is going to be our next weather system. It'll get caught up in the jet stream, and as many of these have, it'll be tracking somewhere in this vicinity here around the Ohio Valley. And then instead of heading northward, it's going to track more easterly. It's going to develop a pressure jump. That's going to develop an area of low pressure near Maryland, a secondary low, and then that tracks off the coast, ends up near Long Island, spins up what will be a coastal nor'easter, a Miller B type nor'easter that will rapid deepening will take place, but it'll throw back a lot of moisture into interior sections of New England. The net effect is a pretty good swath of snow in these parts. In interior New England, it should be cold enough for all snow, maybe just a little bit of sleet in our southernmost counties. But wet snow loading looks like it's probably not going to happen with this significant snowfall, moderate to significant snowfall we're going to see Friday night into Saturday. So that's the good news there. The wet snow loading, if it does happen, of course it would be near the Massachusetts line and further to the south, probably in the Berkshires. But for the most part, we're looking at all pristine snow here with this next incoming snowfall, and some of that snow could be pretty healthy, maybe even exceeding a foot in some of our local mountains. We'll have to wait and see. European on the left, we have the GFS Ensemble on the right. This is starting out with the 06Z, most latest model run. And what we can see is kind of what you've been experiencing, a little bit of snow, some mixed precipitation, a light wintry mix. That's all in the process of exiting out of the region. This is going to catch the most northern parts of Vermont, and so on and so forth. We're looking at light amounts and some lingering flurries into this evening. This does reach back 6 hours, so that's going to be long out of here by 1 o'clock Friday morning. High pressure builds in very nicely, and here comes our next customer. It's mostly all rain, and of course a lot of severe weather associated with this. This is just going to be an onslaught. Every system that's going to be moving on through is going to produce some sort of batch of severe weather, and it's just the name of the game this time of year especially. But we have high pressure guarding the northeast United States on Friday morning. This will continue to hold out until high clouds overstream the region by 0Z. That's 7 o'clock in the evening on Friday evening, and then we have this incoming precipitation. Now here we go. It's going to start out basically as snow, maybe a little bit of a mix in the southern counties. You can see some of that into Massachusetts. This is mostly sleet. There also could be a little bit of freezing rain making it up into the Albany-Schenectady areas, for example. And then we're all looking at snow here up in the northern parts of New England. And this is what we're going to see with potentially, if you're going to get wet snow loading, it's going to be in those far southern counties near the Massachusetts line. This is valid at about 7 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. This would be 1 o'clock in the afternoon on Saturday. Things are starting to wind on down. You got to remember this reaches back 6 hours in this case. So this is showing precipitation that had fallen earlier in the day. And then you start to see it winding on down. Some light flurry action basically on Sunday morning. And then pretty much exits out of the region. Kind of transitions out for a better transition day into Sunday afternoon. And then high pressure builds in again for what could be a pretty nice Monday, and maybe even a mostly sunny Monday. So looking at this is 7 p.m. on Monday, Sunday night, 7 p.m. Sunday evening. High pressure builds in for Monday. We're looking pretty good there. And we have this secondary weak system, kind of a clipper type system. That's going to bring us mostly snow, a little bit of a mix, kind of a wintry mix kind of deal. That's going to develop Monday night into Tuesday. And then this is kind of an odd pattern, but we have basically a lot of blocking high pressures up in the areas around Greenland. This high latitude blocking is going to force the jet stream to the south and east. And indeed, this is going to change up our weather pattern with generally a northwesterly flow. Much colder air is probably going to lock in with a 5,400 meter thickness right here. And we may be staying cold and not seeing these warmer temperatures as we head into the next couple of weeks of March. And the GFS ensemble looks like this. We have, of course, our current weather system taking place and mostly moving on out now. And then we have dry weather on Friday. And then our system that comes in Friday night into Saturday is this guy here. And it kind of slowly tails off with a couple secondary systems. But for the most part, Monday, we're looking at dry weather again. And fairly light amounts of precipitation projected by the GFS ensemble centered on the grid of Montpelier. Looking at the total amount of QPF, looking at generally around 0.8 to about 1 inch with the two storms put together. And then we kind of level off a little bit. Precipitation type should be just about all snow. Not this particular one, as we've had a little bit of mix, but this is our big guy here, all snow. And then perhaps a tiny bit of mix, but not a huge amount of precipitation. Looking at the total snow, looks like this. And this again is centered on the city of Montpelier. About 8 to 10 inches is what the GFS ensemble is thinking. And if you go up to this level, more like 10 inches. And this is in pretty good agreement with the European. Looking at the GFS ensemble wind, maximum winds, we barely break 40 knots. And this is at about 850 hectopascals. So we're not looking at a tremendous amount of wind here, even though we do have a little bit of gradient winds that we're going to probably see out of the east-southeast that'll interact with mostly the central and southern Green Mountains. Again, this is centered on the Montpelier grid, but not a tremendous amount of wind aloft. QPF over the next 7 days from the Weather Prediction Center, you can see that the Sierra Nevada north is still remaining very active, and into the Intermountain region and the Rocky Mountains, lighter amounts, drier amounts. And then we have our systems that'll be developing. This will be that system moving out of the Ohio Valley. A lot of severe weather in these locations with a lot of heavy rainfall. And up in our neck of the woods, we're looking at about 1 inch amounts here. The green, that's about 1/2 inch and then 1/4 inch. The blue is about 1 inch amounts, so generally a little bit more to our south than to our north. But still, we're looking at some pretty good snowfall here. Climate reanalyzer out of the University of Maine. Warmer than normal across the southeastern ridge into parts of the northeast. Colder than normal as these bouts of very cold air continue down in the Pacific side of the country. And this is an unusual pattern. Haven't really seen that with this sort of southeastern ridge causing a lot of warmth in the east. This may be undergoing a pattern change over time. Cold in the west and northwest, warmer in the south and east, and about neutral with our storm system pushing in. This is valid over the next 5 days of high temperatures, meteorological output statistics. About 3 days later, it looks like this. Pretty much the same thing, kind of neutral. Near normal in temperature with warmer than normal conditions to the Canadian Maritimes, and the cold remains more out west, affected by that southeasterly ridge, which continues with warmer than normal conditions. Just how the winter has been, and it's almost the default position now. That's it from here. Roger Hill, Wuthering Heights. Thanks for watching.